Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if I should not have recorded this early in the morning because I'm having a really hard time focusing. I'm tired. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final, for now, edition of Heartstopper Comics vs. Show. And this, of course, is where we look at the comics of Heartstopper and the show of Heartstopper, and we compare them and talk about them and do all that fun stuff. So, last time we looked at episode 7, Bully, where we had Nick and Charlie going to the movies with Nick's friends, and we had the altercation with Harry. So we finished with Nick and Charlie texting, Charlie not being horribly depressed like he is in the show, but them texting about the fact that the next day Nick is taking them on their first official date. So that is where we left off, with Charlie falling asleep and Nick saying in his text that he's going to kiss Charlie a lot when he sees him the next day. And now we're going to continue with the very exciting last part. Yes. Okay, so we move on to the next morning, and poor Nick, with his black eye, is being mercilessly licked by Nellie the support dog, and he's like, Nellie! And he says, "You're so cute, aren't you?" And yes, she is. Nellie and I love how at the arrival of Charlie, Nellie and Nick both react in the exact same way, which is like, And Nellie goes off to greet Charlie with a bork bork, and Charlie says, "Hey." Nellie looking at him adoringly, Nick looking at him adoringly, saying hey. But Charlie, of course, notices the black eye, rushes over, sits down next to Nick, Nellie following, of course, and says, "What happened?"
Honey. What happened?
And Nick says, "Oh, yeah, so I kind of got in a fight with Harry."
I kind of got into a fight with Harry.
Charlie looks surprised, and Nick says, "When you left and I got back to the group, he started saying a lot of shitty things about you, and I just lost it, and I punched him."
After you left and I went back to the group, he started saying some things about you. I just lost it.
And Charlie takes his hand and says, "Oh, Nick." And Nick says, "But, I immediately regretted it and stopped. And that's when he punched me. I guess you managed to hit me really hard, haha." Oh, Nick. So yeah, we don't really get this confirmation in the show, but here we get the confirmation that Nick hits him once and then is like, "Oh shit," and stops it. Whereas in the show, we don't really know, because it looks more like a brawl. Charlie puts his arms around Nick and squeezes him and says, "You big idiot, why are you so great?" And Nick is like, question mark, question mark. And Charlie says, "Why didn't you tell me last night?" And Nick says, "I was embarrassed. It was stupid sinking to his level." And Charlie says, "Well, actually, as much as I hate seeing you get hurt, Harry really deserved a proper punch in the face." And Nick's like, "Ha ha ha, you are such a Slytherin." And Charlie says, "And you are 100% Gryffindor." And Nick says, "How are we even dating?" And Charlie says, "Because I'm so hot, I turned a straight boy." And Nick says, "That may be true, but too soon." Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this, because I think this is one of the more interesting differences between the show and the comics is how the Harry situation affects Charlie. So in the show, Charlie is just he's very, very deeply affected by what Harry says to him. So after what happens in the theater, Charlie is really upset. I mean, granted, he also has Ben on his case there as well, which does not help things. But yeah, he goes home, he's upset, he's depressed, and then he really blames himself for the fact that Nick got into a fight, and Nick is wanting to ditch his friends and things like that.
I don't expect you to dump your friends for me.
So Charlie in the show just takes all of that inside himself. He takes all the blame onto himself and starts feeling like he is responsible for Nick's life falling apart, essentially. Whereas here, Charlie's just like, haha, yeah, Harry deserved a punch in the face. Hey guys, it's editing booth Thom, and I feel like I didn't do a very good job of explaining this in the actual video audio, so I'm gonna give it another try. This is what happens when you record really early in the morning. But yeah, essentially, like, the difference between Comics Charlie and Show Charlie. So I feel like Comics Charlie has almost reached the point where, like, we hear in both cases he tells Nick, "I'm used to it," regarding the bullying. But it does seem like Comics Charlie actually is used to it to the extent that he's gotten to the point where he can kind of shrug it off, which is terrible that anyone should have to reach that point. But it does seem like with his behavior and how he reacts, like, his reaction to Harry is almost like irritated and bored rather than upset. Whereas in the show, I think it's clear how much more deeply it's hurting him. And so as a result, especially going into this situation at the movies where you can see kind of the hope in his eyes when he's talking to his dad in the car and being like, "Oh, Nick's going to be there, I'll be fine." He doesn't think Harry is going to be there. He doesn't think Ben is going to be there. He thinks, Nick and I. So what he's imagining is he and Nick getting to spend time together with Nick's friends, and Nick's friends being cool with him, given Nick's assurances, and it being like a nice time for them. But instead, it all comes crumbling down. So I can see why that really affects him more. It makes sense in the show for that to hurt Charlie with the way that he's characterized and the way that things turn out, especially with the double whammy of Ben being there and just being so hurtful in that scene in the parking lot. So I think it does make a lot of sense that Show Charlie is more damaged by that whole encounter than Comics Charlie. I mean, I do kind of like the way it turns out in the comics, because it's nice to see a Charlie who's like, yeah, bullies suck, but what you gonna do? And I'm really glad you punched him in the face, even though I'm not happy that you got hurt. So I do like both versions, but anyway, that is all. Okay, so then Charlie says, "Oh, they're at the train station now. They're on the platform 2, with Nellie." And Charlie says, "Now can you tell me where we're going?" And Nick says, "Nope, still a surprise," with a little smiley face.
How can you tell me where we're going? No?
Okay, and here we are on the train, which is sadly devoid of Alice Osmonds. There's no Alice sketching in the seat across from them. And Charlie says, "I haven't been this way before." And Nick leading the way down the street, "Come on, we're nearly there." Charlie says, "Haha, okay." And then scree. And Charlie says, "Seagulls?"
Wait, seagulls?
"Oh my god." And Nick says, "Here we are. The beach!" Lots of hearts.
Oh my god, the beach! Yeah, surprise! Oh my god!
And off they go to the beach, and of course with Nellie along with them. Nellie's having a great time splashing in the water. Nick and Charlie holding hands, running to the water, flashing each other while Nellie paddles along. And Nick accidentally sitting right down in the water, and Charlie finding this hilarious. And then off they go to get to the fish and chip stand and sharing some food. It's a testament to how comfortable Charlie feels with Nick that, like, many of the times that we see him eating without having any issues is when Nick is there. So there they are sitting and smooching while Nellie snoozes beside them. And off they go to the photo booth. Charlie says, "Oh my god," and then drags Nick over to the photo booth. "You know that time we went to the arcade and went in the photo booth?" Nick says, blushing. And Charlie says, "And you made me sit on your lap?" And Nick says, "I did not make you." And Charlie says, "I distinctly remember you literally pulling me onto your lap." Yeah, so Alice has drawn a comic of this scene, and if I can track it down, I will put it in the video. So I did end up finding it. It takes place, basically, Charlie is telling Aled about the Easter holidays, and this is well before Nick and Charlie are actually dating. And it starts with Charlie saying, "We hung out almost every day over the Easter holidays, and we keep having these moments, like when we went to the arcade and went in the photo booth." And then we see Nick leading the way into the photo booth, saying, "Come on, it'll be funny." "Yeah, sure, Nick, it'll be funny." And Charlie looks a little alarmed. "Are you sure we'll both fit in there? We're tall." And Nick's there like, "Yeah, we'll be fine." Charlie says, "We're definitely not going to fit in here." And Nick's like, "Oh, just sit on my leg." No, I'm heavy. But Nick insists, and Charlie's like, okay, this is cozy. Both of them staring at each other and blushing, so yeah. So Charlie stands, much to Nick's blushing surprise, and sits right on his lap. And I love the kind of evil, evil smile on Charlie's face. Like, yeah, you wanted me to sit on your lap? And Charlie says, I wanted to kiss you so bad when that happened. And Nick says, me too. And smoochy smoochies. So lots of kissing in the photo booth. There's just full on making out. And then when the photos appear, they're just full of smooches because...
There's not enough room on the stool. Wait, you're perfect. Okay, wait, did it accept it? Okay, I think so. What was that for? That's actually really, really cute. They are really cute.
I love how kind of rumpled Nick looks. Like his sweatshirt is falling off his shoulder and is all crooked and stuff. So, all right. So Nellie is having fun digging in the sand while Nick and Charlie are sitting next to each other and sharing some music, which in this case is "Still Together" by Mac DeMarco.
And time will pass, it may go fast, but we'll still be together.
And I love this image of them just. Charlie looks so content. Nick looks so content. They're just sharing music. All they need is each other, lying on their sweatshirts, I guess, because they did not bring blankets. Nick is not a backpack boyfriend in this case, which is fine. And Charlie looks over at Nick and says, yesterday, you said you didn't want me to cover for you anymore. Does that mean you want to come out? And Nick looks over in surprise and then looks up at the sky. Yeah, it does. Charlie sits up. You really want to? And Nick says, yeah, I know I've been unsure about it for a while, but I'm definitely bisexual. And I don't want to have to creep around pretending we're just friends.
I know I've been pretty unsure of everything for a while, but, I'm definitely bisexual. And I don't want to have to sneak around pretending we're platonic BFFs.
I'm not saying I want to make some sort of public announcement, haha, but I want to tell the people I care about, and I want you to be able to tell people too.
I'm not saying I want to have a public announcement or anything, but I want to tell the people who matter. And I want you to be able to tell people too.
And Nick's just laughing. Ha 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 ha. I like you so much. And I love liking you. And he stands up and Nellie and Charlie are both like, hmm?
Oh my God, I like you so much. And I love liking you.
And then here we have, it's time for Nick to tell the ocean, I like Charlie Spring. ... In a romantic way, not just a friend way. And Charlie cracking up.
I like Charlie Spring in a romantic way, not just a friend way.
So I do like the way that they did this in the show, but one of my favorite things about it in the comic is that there's that ... in the middle where like he yells, you see him yell it to the ocean, I like Charlie Spring, and then it's like he's thinking, wait, the ocean might misunderstand. I better make sure that the ocean understands that I'm not talking about just liking him as a friend. And then in a romantic way, not just a friend way. So so Nick turns around. Nick's happy. Charlie's happy. But then tears. Charlie starts crying. And Nick's like, oh, Char, what? And Charlie says, sorry, I'm just really happy. I never thought this would happen to me. And Nick says, oh, Char, me neither. And hug, hug, hug.
What?
I never thought this would happen to me.
Me neither.
I want to say in the show we only get the Char nickname once at the movies, but here we get to see Nick using it again, for maximum adorableness. Okay, and they're hugging, and Charlie says, Nick, yeah? So, does this mean we're boyfriends? And Nick pulls back with a ... Yes? Was that not established the last 10 times I made out with you? And Charlie's like, oh, yeah, I don't know, we never talked about it?
Does this mean we're boyfriends?
Yes. Was that not already established the last 10 times we made out?
They both stare at each other for a second and then burst out laughing. Why are we like this?
Why are we like this?
Yeah, so they stare at each other with hearts, or one heart actually, and then Nick picks up Charlie and runs for the water. I'm your boyfriend. You're my boyfriend. While Charlie's just going, ah! We're boyfriends. Nick, don't drop me.
What are you doing? There we go. Whoa. You're my boyfriend. I'm your boyfriend. We're boyfriends. Don't dare drop me. I'm not going to drop you. Stop it.
And then collapse together on the beach. And Charlie says, now we're going to tell people.
And now we're gonna tell people?
Yeah.
And this, I feel like this really was the perfect place to end things in the show. But I do like that they include that we get to see what happens next, which is Nick coming out to his mom. So we start with Nick saying, yeah, and seagulls in the background. And then Nick returns home with Nellie and says, hey, Mom. She says, hi, Nicky. You seem smiley. Did you and Charlie have a good day? And Nick just looks so happy, and I love how he has the hood of his sweatshirt up. Yeah, we did. We went to the beach and just chilled out for a few hours. It was so much fun. We went paddling and explored the town a little bit and got fish and chips. Yeah, and I also love that, like, despite the fact that Nick got into a fight the night before, he's not grounded or anything. He's just so happy. I love how happy he is here. Just and it also shows what a close relationship he has with his mom, that he's just joyfully telling her all the fun things they did together. And she says, sounds like a lovely day. He's like, yeah. And then, hey, Nellie, did you have a good day? Boof. And then we have the moment when Nick is thinking about Charlie and remembering how they're going to tell people now, and maybe also thinking about how close he is with his mom. And he looks at her. He says, Mom? And she says, mm-hmm. You know Charlie's, like, my best friend. There's a ... She says, if you're going to ask if he can come to Menorca with us this summer, the answer is no. I already booked the tickets. And no, that's not what I was going to say.
You know Charlie's like my best friend.
If you're going to ask if he can come on our Menorca holiday this year, the answer's no, because I've already booked the ticket.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh, and he's looking at Nellie as if for support. Support him, Nellie. And then we have this moment, the moment of Nick preparing himself, and then he says, he's my boyfriend. Charlie's my boyfriend. Ah.
He's my boyfriend. Charlie's my boyfriend.
And poor Nick is shaking, and I also like the detail of him having his hood up. There's a feeling of, like, wanting to protect himself. So he says, I still like girls, but I like guys too, I think. And Charlie, we're going out. I wanted you to know. Oh, and he's crying.
I still like girls, but I like boys too. And me and Charlie, we're going out. And I just wanted you to know.
And Sarah just stares at him and then gets up, oh, baby, and comes around to his side of the table while poor Nick is crying and just hugs him and says, thank you for telling me. And Nick starts sobbing.
Oh, baby. Oh, thank you for telling me.
Nick sits up and wipes his tears away, and she wipes his tears away. She says, sweetheart, you don't have to say you like girls if you don't. And Nick says, no, I definitely like both. It's called bisexuality, if you've heard of that. So bisexuality in very small letters, like he can't bear to say it out loud. And Sarah chuckles, yes, I've heard of that. I wasn't born in 1920.
It's called bisexuality, if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I wasn't born in the 18th century.
And I think it's interesting that they changed it in the show to I wasn't born in the 18th century, which I wonder, because, like, of course, Olivia Colman is known for playing Queen Elizabeth on The Crown, and Queen Elizabeth was actually born in the 1920s, so I do kind of wonder if they changed that line so it wouldn't be too obvious of a reference to her other role, but it could have just been that they thought it sounded better. But okay, so a little bit of laughter and sniffling, and Sarah is smiling, and she holds Nick's hand and says, how long have you known? Nick says, well, me and Charlie started going out like a month and a half ago, but I started liking him way before that.
How long have you known?
Well, me and Charlie started going out a couple months ago, but I started liking him way before that.
And here we get some memories of Nick blushing while looking at Charlie at school, Nick blushing while looking at Charlie at rugby practice, and then, of course, Nick and Charlie on the best day ever in the snow.
Hi.
And then he says, I wanted to tell you, but we never talk about, like, gay stuff. I didn't know how you would react. He says, are you surprised? ... And Sarah says, I had my suspicions, especially after seeing how much you care about him, but I was never sure. And then Sarah says, I love you, Nikki. I'm sorry I ever made you feel like you couldn't tell me that.
I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like you couldn't tell me that.
And they hug. Nick says, love you too. Obviously, this scene in the show is just beautifully done, and I think they did a wonderful job with it. I do like that we get kind of confirmation from Nick's mom that she did kind of suspect. I mean, we kind of knew also from last time, from when after Nick got in the fight, and the way that Sarah was looking at him, saying like, Charlie's a very special friend, isn't he? We kind of knew that she suspected, but here we get the confirmation that she wasn't sure, but she did definitely suspect that something might be going on there, and then openly apologizes for making him feel like he couldn't tell her. So, okay, and then she hugs him and says, and Charlie still can't come to Menorca with us, even though he's your boyfriend. And Nick goes, but Mom, David got to bring his girlfriend last year. And his mom says, your brother is 4 years older than you, and they were living together at uni at the time. But Mom, I thought you loved me. And Sarah, sigh, Nicholas. I think the way that they ended in the show is perfect, with just the image of Nick and Charlie on the beach as we pull away. But I do love this moment of Nick being kind of of Nick kind of teasing his mom. We don't generally see this side of Nick in the show, so it is nice to see this side of him. But yeah, so that's it. That's the end. And yeah, obviously there's a lot more to episode 8 than there is to this section in the comics, because again, we have Charlie's reaction to the fight and everything that's going on with Nick being so much bigger and more dramatic, and we get Charlie thinking that he needs to break up with Nick for Nick's own good, which in general is not a trope that I enjoy, but they at least didn't drag it out. And also, of course, it gives us the wonderful hallway scene where Nick reassures Charlie, and gotta love that. So I do think they made the right call in the show to add a little bit more, not drama, but to add a little more emotional depth. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if I should not have recorded this early in the morning, because I'm having a really hard time focusing. But yeah, but so what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the comics versus the show? Not just in this section, but overall. Like, I mean, I've said before, I love both of them. I love the show. I love the comics. They are different, but neither one is worse or better. I think in some cases I prefer the show. In some cases I prefer the comics. But in both of them, I loved every minute. So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the adaptation goes with the next part. So I can't wait to see, of course, the gang in Paris. We're getting David, we're getting Sahar, we're getting all sorts of fun stuff coming up, and I wonder how they're going to change things. Clearly they are married to Tal's hairstyle, and they're not going to change that, which is fine. It's fine. It's a choice. Yeah, so going forward from here, obviously we will not be having any more comics versus show until more of the show comes out. But I do intend to still continue going through the comics and just looking at what's going on in there and reacting to it and talking about it and maybe even speculating about how they might adapt it for the show. So that should be a fun time. So don't run away just because Comics versus Show is over. And yeah, on this channel we also talk a lot about queer books. In the future, I was also thinking about doing a video on some queer comics, since I've read a lot of good queer comics lately, so we're going to talk about that. And, of course, I must yet again pitch Heartstopper Sims, because we've been having a lot of fun doing that. Like, it's a video series that is probably performing the worst on my channel, but I love it, so I will continue doing it. Like, it's just very, it's fun and funny to me, and you do not have to know Sims to appreciate it, I think, but obviously you don't have to watch it, but I enjoy making it. Those are probably my favorites of the videos that we've been making. I say we, I don't know who we is, but I guess it's me and me. So that's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts below. I love to hear your feedback, and I love to read your comments, whether they are essays or not. But we love the essays here, so please feel free to do essay length responses if you like, but no pressure. Also, over on the community tab, we have a lot of fun over there. I have a lot of fun over there. I don't know about you guys, but we do a lot of polls. We talk about different things like, what's your favorite blankety blank from Heartstopper, and which Netflix icon are you using? So if you wanna get in with the if you want to join the community in some fun polls and stuff like that, you should head over to the community tab and join us there. I'm not sure if you need to be a subscriber or not to access that, but if you want to access it and that's the only way, I guess you gotta become a subscriber. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for putting up with slightly scattered morning me, who is not focusing very well. Yeah, but feel free to follow me on social media if you like. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I stream on Twitch. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you next time for whatever the next video may be. And thank you as always for watching and liking and subscribing and writing comments and all the stuff that you do. So that is all. See you next time.